everybody, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you the books that my sister chose for her favorites for 2017-2018 school year. If you are new to my channel or haven't seen the video earlier last year or at the beginning of the school year, I posted a video that shared all the books that we were going to be reading with our American history. You can check that video listed down below as well as above. And in that video, I laid out everything that I wanted them to read. I had our read alouds and I had their independent reads. This video is going to be talking about those independent reads that I gave my 7th grader. These books, I have not read all of them. I am working through a few of them, but I did want to share with you the ones that she really enjoyed. The first one she read was Sophia's War by Avi, and she loved this one. I picked this up for her, and when she finished it and handed it to me, she said it was so good, and I was excited because I had actually wanted to read it, but I hadn't had the opportunity to do so yet. So I was really thrilled that it was as good as I was hoping. I had several books this year in our curriculum that were done by Avi. We do like this author, but as a word of caution, some of his books, or her books, I don't know who it is, do tend to have some language in them at times. So that's something to be aware of. I like having conversations with my kids about this, and so far my sister isn't a walking sailor because of it. So that is the first one that she said, or that she read she loved. Another one that she, actually, that wasn't the first one, this one was. Another one that she really loved was Pocahontas and the Strangers by Clyde Robert Beulah. We love this author. We have read several by him. And she really enjoyed this. I actually had an extra copy that I was randomly selling, and she wanted it for her own personal library. So that kind of tells you a lot. Liked it so much that she wanted the opportunity to read it again by just grabbing it off her shelf. So I thought that was really sweet when she did that, and that told me a lot. A lot of the concerns with this book is how politically accurate it is, and I really don't think it goes so much into that as much as just telling her story. It's not going to go into a lot of the deeper details, and that's sometimes why I choose books like that, because those are topics that we will have, but I don't necessarily want them to be gone over at this time. At this time, I'm really more looking for my students to just be reading the stories with an unbiased view, in so much as possible. Nothing is unbiased by any means, and then with the morals and upbringing that they've had, they can come to an understanding of what is right and wrong based on scripture, not based necessarily on what I would teach or what anybody else would teach for that matter. But later on we will go into more discussion and details and kind of build upon that. So that's really what I'm looking for in books like this. It's just tell their story. Tell it in a way that's engaging, and so that they are wrapped up in the person and the times and kind of an understanding of that. So again, I really do like this author. He has written several books that we enjoy. Sword in the Tree is a very well-known. Chalkboard or Chalkbox Kid is another well-known one. Some of the other lesser knowns, like Viking Tales, we really, again, just really enjoy this author. Another one that she read was Fever, 1793 by Laurie, Halse, Anderson, and my sister, the 7th grader, loved this book so much that she ended up trying to find a second copy to be able to share with her friends. Before I knew anything about it, I had just seen this book and picked it up and added it to my shelf, probably before I even knew I was writing my own American history, and it just looked really interesting, and it really went into the epidemic that we don't really know so much about after the Revolutionary War. Another one that we don't really know much about is the flu epidemic after World War One, but that's a whole nother story anyway. So she really, really enjoyed this book. Again, like I said, she looked for an extra copy for her sister or for her friends, and I have yet to read this, so I can't tell you much about it. But I am looking forward to reading this as well, based on the information that she has given me about this book. Along with Fever, there is Chains by Laurie Halse Anderson, author of Fever. And this one I did not assign her, but I am going to be giving it to her to read because I started reading this in kind of going through my books and seeing what is there. And the reason I never assigned this is because it has to do a lot with, I think it's after the American Revolution. Or it's actually during, I'm sorry. It's during the American Revolution, and it is the slavery viewpoint. The reason I did not give this to my sister was because she has been so heavy loaded with everything about slavery in the past 2 years of school. Before we'd had our school start, she had gone through an intensive Civil War history with our local homeschool group and the play that they put on, and then we started American history, kind of going through that, and I don't necessarily want my students to go, oh, not again. I don't want to just pound them in any kind of information. It doesn't have to be slavery, world wars, pioneering, just so much. You can just put so much information. I think because of how much information that she had to process at 12, 13 years old, it was really hard to then keep going into it. It's kind of, you just need a break from stuff like this, especially since this isn't an easy subject. And that's more me telling you, the parent, yes, we don't want to shelter our children from this, but on topics like this, trying to go so much and really doing it justice. I think that's something that we try so hard to do, but sometimes children just need a little bit of information, especially of stuff like this where they maybe have a gentle heart and they want to change something, and then this is something that they can't change. And so they have to process this a little bit slower. And so this is why I didn't give her this book, but I am going to offer it to her and say, look, this is by the author of that book that you really, really enjoyed. And I did read some of it, and I thought it was really, really good. I just wanted to offer this to you. So that's why I'm throwing this in here. It was kind of my way of getting a little 2 cents in about topics like this, sharing another book by that author, and then sharing my viewpoint, and then sharing how I'm going to approach this with my sister. So there is that book that she has not read, but I know for a fact that she will enjoy that, this book when we can get to it. She loved Johnny Tremain, and in Johnny Tremain there is a character that is a slave at one of these officer homes, and she helps Johnny Tremain with her kind of like secret spy-ness, and in a way, her story in Johnny Tremain made me think of this character whose story isn't the same, but it just fit. It fit well. So, my sister loved Johnny Tremain again. I know I'm hashing that again. I think she's going to love this, and that's why I'm including it in this story, or in this video. She is currently reading The Book Thief. I will not be able to say that author's name, but she loved the movie, and of course, if you love the movie, you know you're going to love the book. But, so I can't tell you that. That's something she's doing over the summer. But another book, again, that she finished and really loved was Sounder. If you can see, this is a very thin book, and this has to do, I believe, with just after the Civil War, with the Reconstruction era. Yeah, it's a good book. Yeah, I think it's after the Reconstruction era, and what I thought was really neat about this is, again, I'm bringing up some of the issues that we had here, but she still really enjoyed this, and she went through this book a lot quicker than I gave her time for, especially in a time when it was very stressful, because I believe she had this book when she had a play due with that local homeschool group. And still she was like, this is a really good book. It's hard to put down, but I have so much going on and all this stuff. And I gave her a huge block of time to finish this. And she finished it before that time. Still, you know, really struggling through everything. And anyway, my point being, I don't know where my kid went with all these books now. My point being, she, you know, really did well in just doing it. Anyway, I asked my sister which books were her favorite out of all of them she read. We did not get through the whole books, and there were some in the end that I did pull out. And there were some that she read that was hard to get through. Singing Down the Moon by Scott Odell, I think, was one that she had. It's one of those. That might have been the one that my daughter had. And I'll put what my sister had right here, because now I'm getting a little confused. So I'm getting a little confused. Yeah. But that was one that she wanted to enjoy. And the thing was that I had one of those mass production paperback books, and the print was really hard for her to read. She does need to wear glasses, and I think the print was super hard for her to read. So when we could find another copy that the print was bigger, she had already struggled so much with it that she said that it ended really well and she enjoyed it, but I think in the meantime that progression to that was incredibly difficult for her. So that was another one that I think if I had gotten us a standard book size with that, she would have enjoyed that one as well. But anyway, I thought I would share with you the ones that she did enjoy. I think, you know, trying to keep things simple so that they can read and process books was something that I wasn't prepared to do. My thought was more, they love to read, let's load them up on books. But sometimes those historical fiction, along with the history that I'm teaching, takes a little bit more time to process, and that was something that I learned this year. But I wanted to share these books with you. Again, this was for my 7th grader. These were the books that she really did enjoy, and these were something that I asked her to share with me which ones she enjoyed. So there you go. I hope that was helpful for some of you out there, especially maybe those of you looking for books for American history. These were the ones for the 7th grade. These are not, I did not look for Christian value books in the sense that I have to have it. I was looking for content, and honestly, in a lot of these things, we had good biblical conversations. And I know that is a struggle for some parents out there. I totally get it. You want to give as much of God in everything that we do. This is, you know, one reason why we homeschool, right? So that we can teach our children. And I'm not trying to avoid it. There were a couple of stories that I had for her that I think were put out by Abeka or another, you know, well-renowned homeschool curriculum, but they just weren't her favorite. I think sometimes with those that they don't necessarily get so much into the story because they're trying to share a message. And that's, you know, some things that I have found to be a problem with some of with the historical fiction from a Christian standpoint. Not always, but some of the things. So just throwing that out there about Christian viewpoint and books like this. Again, she is in 7th grade. Great time to have conversations. And sometimes I didn't have to. She would come to its conclusions and come talk to me, and it would build up from there. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that didn't get too heavy for you at the end there. I know sometimes stuff like that is difficult to discuss, but anyway. So there you have it. That was the 7th grade reading requirement that I gave my sister. And I thought I would share these with you in case, you know, you may not have avid readers like mine, but you want something that they will be able to read during this homeschool year. This basically covered with the Pilgrims all the way to the Reconstruction era.